Every leader knows that a thriving organization depends on the energy, productivity, and commitment of its people. But few leaders are able to cultivate the employee engagement and performance needed for this level of success. What's the difference? Positive leadership practices. Welcome to the Positive Leadership Movement Podcast with your host, positive work culture expert, Alex Bratty. Ready to harness the power of positive leadership? Let's dive right in.
Hello and welcome to episode 23 of the Positive Leadership Movement Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Bratty, and in this episode, we are going to dive into the craziness that is coronavirus and what you as a positive leader can do about it in your sphere of influence. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment to thank you for being here. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, rate, and review it so we can keep spreading this positive leadership movement. Yes, it's contagious, but not in a bad way, not like coronavirus. It's contagious in a good way, so help me spread it. And remember, if you've got a question about positive leadership, just drop me a line at questions@positiveleadershipmovement.com, and I'll address it on the show. All right, and speaking of, I actually had planned to do this week's episode about coronavirus because it is so timely and important, but several of you actually emailed me at that email address asking about it, so I'm glad we're all on the same page. I'm happy to deliver this, so here we go. Let's put on our face masks and latex gloves and dive in. All right, so first things first, let's remind ourselves of who a positive leadership is. Who a positive leader is. A positive leader is someone who takes a strengths-based approach, right? Looking for what's going well and what we're good at. How can we leverage those strengths and build upon them, right? So that's the first part. The second part is it's someone who does what's right because it's the right thing to do. And if we keep those two aspects in mind, and we use those as the lens through which we look at coronavirus, what can we do as positive leaders? Now, there's no doubt at this stage that the virus is rampant and potentially fatal. If you're not taking it seriously and doing something about it both personally and professionally, you have not been paying attention. Sorry, but you have not. And if you're someone who minimizes how much news you consume because you don't want to absorb too much toxic information, I totally respect that. But at this time in our lives, you do need to tune in and read up, both for your own health and for those around you. And that's not me being alarmist. That's not me being panicky. That's not me being negative. That's me being pragmatic and actually positive. How is that positive? Because when you acknowledge that there is a threat or an issue, you can start to do something positive about it, right? If we don't even acknowledge it in the first place and start to address it, then what are we doing? We're doing the ostrich approach. We're sticking our head in the sand. We're running away from it. We're just choosing not to acknowledge it. And that is not going to help you be a positive leader in this particular situation. Now, let me be really clear. I am not mitigating what we're dealing with here. There has been massive upheaval everywhere. The markets have crashed, so we're all losing money. Businesses and schools are being closed. Employees are being forced to work from home. Students, some are going to go without their daily meal because they rely on their schools to feed them that. Other employees are actually having to still come into work and risk their health because they have to be at their job. They cannot work from home. So none of this is pleasant at all. But there are positive opportunities amidst this global crisis, right? And that's what I mean when I said earlier, if we take the positive leadership lens, the strengths-based approach, and doing what's right, it's because it's the right thing to do, we can do something as positive leaders here, right? Because instead of panicking and being stressed by all these changes that are being forced on us by coronavirus, we can look instead for the prospects. All right, so first up, And most importantly, this is a serious opportunity to institute some new policies around health, hygiene, and wellness in the workplace. Yeah, I mean, this virus is a wake-up call for most of us on the topic of healthy personal habits, right? It's helping us all to become more mindful about what we're touching, how long we're washing our hands for. I mean, come on, admit it. We all get lazy around washing our hands. Like we do the perfunctory, oh yeah, I did the soap and the water and like I'm off I go, right? It's not even close to 20 seconds. I mean, come on, let's get real, okay? Standing there for 20 seconds, if you've noticed, is a little bit longer than what you normally do. So it's helping us remember what we really should be doing. It's helping us remember how often we put our hands near our face and helping us create a new habit of not doing that, right? And this is all a good thing. We should be more mindful of all of this. It's also making organizations that interact in person with customers become much more careful in their sanitization process. And as far as I can tell, that is an absolute must for businesses that want to keep clients coming in at this time. I mean, I can't tell you, and you're probably in the same boat on this, right? But the number of emails I have received over the past week from various organizations, whether they're my clients or they're vendors or they're places of business that I frequent and I happen to be on their email list. I mean, so many coming in this week assuring me of their new and extensive sanitization procedures and the hygienic precautions they're taking to help ensure their clients' health and safety and their employees, of course. Now, on the one hand, you might say, well, gee, they should already be doing this. And you could be right. But at the same time, they're taking extra level sanitation precautions, right? That up until now, let's face it, we haven't needed, right? We all deal with running into bacteria and things like that every day, but we have strong antibodies, some of us get vaccinations. I mean, most of us are able to operate in this world without worrying about picking up some kind of disease if we get on an airplane, if we go to a hotel, if we go to a restaurant, if we go to a cafe, right? So yeah, this is a whole new world, which means that businesses are up-leveling in what they're doing in terms of sanitation. That is something that we should applaud and we should be grateful for and we should be taking the cue from if we haven't already. So if you have a business that involves convening people in person, you need to do this to provide reassurance, both for you yourself, your employees, and your customers, right? And I mean, this is really about what you are doing for others. Yes, you're going to help yourself, but it's really about others, not exactly telling them what they need to do. I mean, it's about what you are actually doing for them. So let me give you an example. I received a coronavirus email from the hot yoga studio that I go to each week. And they sent this note about what I can do to protect myself, like washing my hands for 20 seconds and staying up to date with CDC news and all the rest of it, right? Well, yeah, I mean, that's helpful, but it's not really the point, is it? Because at this point in the stage of the game, we all know we should be washing our hands for 20 seconds at least. I mean, if you don't know that, like I said earlier, you need to start paying attention. No, I mean, they kind of missed the whole boat. They didn't give me a single comment or statement about what they're doing at the studio to protect me, the other students, or their employees. And guess what? Because of that, I chose not to go this morning. And believe me, I go religiously to hot yoga every Wednesday and Friday morning. Today is a Friday. I'm recording this on Friday. And I would have gone this morning. Why? Because, well, two reasons. First of all, this is a place where multiple people are gathering together at multiple times of the day, right? They have about 8 classes a day. It's a hot, humid room. People are using restrooms. They're showering there. Do you think this is a place of business that needs to up their sanitation game right now? Yeah, I do. And as far as they've communicated to me, they have not done that. And they're not even thinking about it because instead they sent me an email about what I can do for me, not what they're doing for me. So they've lost my business until they either do something or the threat of corona has passed. That simple. So here's number one. Take action to protect your employees and clients and communicate that. And that's the second part of this, right? Communicate it. Let people know so that you are a source of calm and reassurance in this storm right now. And here's the second point. I said they lost my business for two reasons. The first one was exactly that, right? They're just showing absolutely no effort to take precautions in this, to care about me as a client, to care about their employees, all the teachers that walk in and out every day, the front desk staff. I mean, they're the ones touching surfaces and doing all kinds of things and exposed to all these different clients coming in every day. Not a word about that. So that was number one. But number two is the idea that this is not about you. It's about the people around you. Because here's the other reason I'm not going to the studio. It's not because I'm actually worried about getting the virus for me, right? Like, I'm healthy and I'm strong and I know I'll be able to fight it. No, that's not the reason. It's because my husband has a compromised immune system. So I don't want to potentially, maybe even unwittingly, pick it up and infect him, because he won't be able to fight this the way I can. Plus, obviously, I don't want to pass it on to anyone else in my life. So this is thinking about others, not just ourselves. So did I really want to go to yoga this morning because I love to go and it makes me feel good? Yes. I chose not to go because it was the right thing to do. And it was the right thing to do not just for my family and the people that I interact with. It was the right thing to do actually for that studio, because until that studio takes extra sanitation precautions, they're putting everybody at risk. So I'm one less person bringing in my germs, my contact, adding to what's floating around in that place. And so me staying home actually helps everybody in my life right now, including that studio, even though in a way you could say I was punishing them, but I'm actually helping them. Okay. And here's the thing, my business is being affected by this too. Everybody's is, this is a time where it can be hard to be positive. In my research, clients aren't doing focus groups anymore. They don't want people to be getting on planes. They don't want to contribute to bringing a group of people into a room together, right? Even though it's only 8-10 people, they're not even following the guidelines at the moment that, it's a crowd of a few hundred or 2,500 or more. They're saying, hey, even a group of 8 to 10 people is too much for us. We don't want to contribute to that. So everybody's being affected by this, right? And I'm not trying to make small of it at all. But here's what I want you to think about. Not just about the health and the sanitation and protecting your employees and the people around you, because that is number one. And that's why I wanted to emphasize it first. But here are some ideas about how there are opportunities to be innovative here, right? So, for example, if you've been wanting to work on some big projects, but you're always too busy, maybe now is the perfect opportunity to do that, especially if you're being forced to work from home, right? In fact, I got an email from a professional speaker friend just yesterday saying he was choosing to do just that, to look at it in this way, because and really it's inspirational, because this is a guy who just lost multiple speaking gigs because the conferences are being canceled left and right. Is he curling up into a ball and crying? Because he really could, with the amount of money he's losing. No. I mean, it's seriously damaging his livelihood, but no. Instead, he's looking for how this can be an opportunity, right? He's looking at, okay, let me work on those really cool projects that I've been wanting to get out there, that online course or that membership program, whatever it is. He's working on that now. He suddenly has the time to do that. And he's saying, wow, here's my silver lining. I'm going to grab it and run with it. Now that's positive leadership in action right there. Here's another one. If your business is taking a massive nosedive because of what's happening, just like mine is, like maybe yours is right now, think of ways you might still be able to draw clients in. Just this week, United and JetBlue emailed me to let me know that if I purchase tickets right now and use them before the end of the year, I'll get significant savings. Hey, the airlines are one of the worst hit industries right now. If they're figuring this out, so can you. right? I mean, I may do the same thing with my clients, like offer them a lower rate to book focus groups now. Maybe we won't do them till September or October, but I'm still bringing in that business. There's ways for you to do this too. And here's one that specifically goes under the heading of doing what's right because it's the right thing to do. Most airlines, I think maybe all now, but certainly most, are also waiving their change fees and crediting full ticket amounts. Now, do you think they want to do that when they think about their bottom line? Ugh, of course not, right? Like it's just, they're just thinking like, man, we're just bleeding money here. I mean, this is crazy. But it's the right thing to do. And customers remember whether you did the right thing. Doing the right thing now is, of course, the right thing to do, but it can also lead to greater customer loyalty down the line. I mean, speaking of, here's another example, right? Southwest Airlines, basically the epitome of this kind of story, because back in 2011, after the September 11th attacks, that was, of course, the last time the airlines were hit so hard. Southwest didn't lay off a single employee while all the other airlines were. And they were losing $5 million a day for weeks and weeks after the attacks. Now, they're trying to do that again here in this crisis, not the lose 5 million a day, although I'm sure they are in that realm, if not more. I mean, they're trying not to lay off employees. And, you know, as part of that, the CEO just took a personal pay cut to help with that, right? Same at United, the CEO and president, I believe, both took a pay cut right now. The message is that they are trying to pitch in, they're trying to make a sacrifice too, and it's all in an effort to keep the company together and to keep people employed. If you can't ask your employees to work from home, right? Like that's a very obvious option for a lot of businesses that basically operate on intellectual property or information, right? Like it's easy to just have people go work from home, and guess what? Email's your friend, Messenger's your friend. Like all these technological advances we have, they're all your friends right now. But there are multiple businesses where employees cannot do that. They cannot work from home. So if that's you, think about modified sick pay or sick leave programs. What are you doing to help reassure your employees and to keep them safe, right? So for example, Trader Joe's have done this. They just started a new sick pay or sick leave program. And Starbucks have also implemented something called catastrophe pay that's available even for baristas, which will pay employees for up to 14 days if they have been diagnosed with, exposed to, or come in close contact with someone with the virus. Obviously, all of that is costing them money, but it's the right thing to do. And then, if you work in the stock market or your financial health is inextricably linked to it, yeah, this is bad. I mean, you do not want to look at your 401k or your pension plan or your savings or whatever else you have going on that's linked into the stock market right now. It is a depressing picture. There's no doubt about it. But what is the opportunity here? It's a buying market now, right? Everything has crashed. So you have the opportunity to get some stocks while they're low and make money over the long haul. And let's face it, this is, it may take a while, but things are going to come back, right? So you do have to think about not just now, but ahead. There is a long haul here, and we should be thinking also in terms of that, not just about what are we doing right here, right now. So there you go. I mean, I'm basically offering up several examples of what some companies are doing right now, ideas of what you could do, and I could go on, but I think you get my point, which is there are a lot of strategies you could be taking right now or implementing right now as a positive leader to help yourself, to help your employees, and to help your customers and clients. And like I said, I mean, this is indefinite right now. We don't know how long this is all going to last, but it's not forever. So think about the resilience your organization is going to develop if they approach this crisis with a positive mindset rather than a negative Nelly, the sky is falling mindset. Plus, let's not forget the most obvious part of everything I'm saying here. that old adage that necessity is the mother of all invention. This is the time to innovate, my friends. This is the time to do things differently, to find a new way of looking at problems and new solutions, to leverage all that technology we have around us, to move your operations online, develop that app you've been thinking about. You know, sometimes you don't know what's possible until you're forced to think differently. And coronavirus is definitely making us think differently. So, I hope that I've given you some food for thought in this episode about how you can take a positive approach and set a positive example of how to lead during these uncertain times. The key is to use the positive leadership lens of taking a strengths-based approach. What is your team competent at? How can you leverage those skills right now? And to do what's right, because it's the right thing to do. And you know what that is, right? If you're not sure what the right thing is to do, the way to know that is so simple. You just ask yourself. Don't ask anybody else. Just ask yourself, is this the right thing to do right now? And you will immediately know the answer, because if it's not, you're going to feel nauseous. You're going to feel guilt. You're going to feel all kinds of negative emotions kind of swirling around in you, because you know you're not doing the right thing. If you know it's the right thing to do, you will have a peaceful feeling, right? I mean, it may not feel like you're super happy about it because it's costing money, you don't know where things are going, but you're going to feel calm and secure in your decision, because guess what? Your conscience is clear, because you did the virtuous thing. You did the right thing. So it's very easy to know if something's the right thing. You just ask yourself, and your body, not even your mind, your body will tell you immediately if it is. All right, let's wrap this up. Please, all of you, be sensible, pay attention to what is happening, take the appropriate precautions for yourselves, your loved ones, your employees, and your clients and customers. If you've got questions or you want to share some great positive leadership stories, or even better, share what your organization and what you're doing as a positive leadership right now during Corona crazy times, as I'm calling them, send them to me. I will share them on this podcast so that we can spread the word on that, right? And the email address to send any of these questions and stories to is questions@positiveleadershipmovement.com. I always love to hear from you. And if you want me to address a specific topic on this podcast, just let me know. Also, if you want some simple practices that can increase positivity in your workplace, even right now when everybody might be working remotely, feel free to go to my website, happinessatworknow.com, where you can download my book absolutely free. It's 25 tips for leaders, how to leverage the science of happiness to increase performance, productivity, and profitability. All right, so for now, this is Alex Bratty signing off and thanking you for being part of the positive leadership movement and inspiring me to do what I do every single day. Be safe out there.
Make sure you subscribe to the show. If you like this episode, please rate and review. If you want to get more from Alex, check out Happiness at Work, where she provides leaders with a proven path to cultivate a positive work culture that increases performance, productivity, and profitability. Go to happinessatworknow.com. Join us next week and harness the power of positive leadership for your organization.